Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fully Charged Show. It's a bit of a special one. We've now managed to cover a major international car show which revealed loads of new electric cars onto the market, and we didn't have to fly halfway around the world in order to do that. This is entirely thanks to our wonderful Southeast Asia correspondent. Now, we have aired some episodes about Chinese cars before, like the MG ZS, but since we posted some episodes made by Elliot Richards in China and also the Polestar 2 review, we have received a little bit of kickback about China. So I just want to state the painfully obvious: we do not support or condone the atrocious human rights records of the Chinese Communist Party. We never have and we never will. But what is happening in China is relevant to the rest of the world. It is an extraordinary transition that they are seeing there that is happening right now. It's not going to happen in a few years. It's happening right now. So, without more ado, it's over to Elliot Richards in Chengdu.
Thank you to Robert in the studio and welcome to Chengdu in China. We are here for the 2020 Chengdu Motor Show and there are over 80 exhibitors here today. So we're going to take a look around, look at some of the new EV brands, some of the brands we've not heard of before, and see what some of the legacy automakers have brought to this show. So enough waffle, join me as we go inside and have a look around. So we're here on the BYD stand, probably the most exciting stand of the Chengdu Auto Show because they have so many EV models. This is the BYD Yuan, and this has a 360 kilometers of range and a 43 kilowatt hour battery. Now this is at the lower end of their product range, and this starts at 80,000 RMB, which is probably around 10 or 11,000 pounds. Now this is like a super simple, like compact SUV crossover thingy. For such a cheap car, you do get some design features. You've got the simple screen in the middle, which has good density, but then the screen in front of you where you are driving is a little bit basic. But I mean, it gives you what you need in a car which costs just over £10,000. You know, it's built for five. For some reason, they decided to put a spare wheel on the back. Now, this is quite popular in China because, you know, often these cars are used in quite remote areas where the roads might not be so good. So having the spare wheel on the back is a feature that a lot of owners like to have. So that's why that's here. And it also gives you more space on the boot on the inside. Now, this is the E2 from BYD. And this is where they've kind of updated the design language between the two cars. They still insist on putting the whole name across the back of the car. Build your dreams, fair enough. It's got a 400 kilometer range, the 94 horsepower electric motor, and a 70 kilowatt hour battery. And this retails for about 100,000 RMB, so about 13 or 14,000 pounds. So a little bit more expensive than that, but then you get a much more sporty looking car. You can see it's got much sharper lines, the design is much more clear because it has these nice LED lights. It's kind of a good size for Shanghai. It's still very basic, but it has another level of refinement and quality. I like this car a lot and I'd love to get a little test drive of this. Now this is the BYD Han, okay? There's a lot of excitement around this car. It's 3.9 seconds to 60. And for a car like this, where sedans are still very popular in China, this starts at 230,000 RMB, or about 26,000 pounds, up to about 280,000 RMB, which is just over 30,000 pounds. For that, you get either a 65 kilowatt hour or 77 kilowatt hour battery, and it comes with 600 kilometers of range, and it looks stunning. It's got these lovely, like blade-styled wheels with the name of the car in the middle. So BYD often use the name of their car as a Chinese character on the car as a design feature, and I really like this. It, you know, keeps hold of that Chinese element of the company. Let's have a look at the interior of the Han. Now it feels a little bit small, but the material finished in here is fantastic. This is wood. I just saw these vents. That's very cool. It's like fighter jet exhaust or something. That's a very nice feature. And I've got my screen in the middle here, which is very large, and the controls. You know, it's a very nice place to be. It does feel very low, but it's a comfortable place for a long drive. It's quite a big car. This is coming out very soon. I think this is even out in the next few months. So we're going to see a lot more on the road of these. And this is to replace the old BYD Han, which looked like a dog's dinner. So this is the JAC E20X, and I think you'll see that this design is quite similar to the BYD that we saw earlier. So it has a liquid-cooled battery, 50 kilowatt hours, 402 kilometers NEDC range with a 92 kilowatt motor. It's quite smart. It's got the LED lights on it. I don't think this is real leather, but this is kind of a nice feature in this car. It does have lane assist, you know, perfect city car. I think probably competing with the BYD straight away. It's got the roof bars. Again, this is all about practicality. I like how they've got this gold accented mirrors, so this is something they've done across all of their range. JAC are the contract manufacturer for NIO, so they know how to make good quality and luxury spec cars. Probably using that know-how, they've developed their next model here, and this is the E40X, so slightly bigger than the E20. Again, you've got very similar interior treatment to the last one, a bit more legroom, both up the front and in the rear, a bit more boot space as well. Again, practicality, you've got the roof rack. Now this one has a 66 kilowatt hour battery, 502 kilometers of NEDC range. And this actually comes with some more self-driving features. It comes with like lane assist, and it's got cameras and sensors on the outside. So let's just have a look at the front, because I think it looks quite smart. The trend is continuing with the LEDs across the front, across here, and then larger lights at the bottom. I mean, that's a very similar NIO design touch. And then you've got your camera down here. I quite like this sharp kind of angular look. The bonnet's quite low. So again, you've got a couple of screens. What they've done here, they've got the really annoying buttons which you have to mash down. And that's very irritating. But let's see if I can fit in here. I'm 6 foot, so. I mean, it's a little bit tight, but it's pretty comfortable. I've got my dial down here. Yeah, I don't like those buttons. That's like 20 buttons which you can't feel. No tactile feel. There's no need for that. That's irritating. Got all my charging features up here. This is quite a basic looking screen actually, but I've got all of my apps and menus in here. Looks like an Android operating system. So quite comfortable. A bit plasticky, but that's what you get for this price. Now, this is, I suppose, their top of the range kind of saloon. This is the E50A. And again, they've continued that design language between the three cars, but this is like their super saloon. So the E50A, 530 kilometers of NEDC range and a 64 kilowatt hour battery. This is going for that premium sedan market, which a lot of times is used for fleets. So things like taxi companies will use these in China. So we can have a quick look in here. Now it takes it up another level from the other cars. You've got, you know, stitched leather in here. Slightly different screens, slightly more defined screens in here in terms of resolution. It does feel quite compact. It's not as big as, say, the P7, but then the price doesn't quite match that either. So I'm here on the Toyota stand, and you're probably thinking, what are you doing on there? Because they don't do any electric cars. However, in China, you would be wrong. Toyota do an electric car, and it's out on the market today. And this is it. This is the Izoa. This car retails at about 225 to 250,000 RMB, so that's around about 27 to 30,000 pounds. It has 400 kilometers of NEDC range. There's no petrol motor, there's no hybrid, it's fully electric. And this has a 54 kilowatt hour battery. So I remembered it all then. You know, so this is actually based on the Izoa petrol car, but they've stiffened the chassis by about 20% to compensate for all the batteries being in the bottom of the car. And as you can see, they've adjusted some of the design on the front. And if you come onto the inside, it's pretty familiar if you know your Toyotas. You know, it comes with the normal, I suppose, Toyota reliability and fit and finish. And, you know, in here it doesn't feel like an EV. They've put this blue accent on here to make it electric. And they've got the gear stick down here to change it into your drive modes, screen up here, screen here, and just telling me how much range I have left on the battery. You know, all in all, there's not that much difference between the petrol version. But the most important thing is, Toyota can make electric cars. Why can't they bring them to the UK, Europe and the US?
EV industry, I think it's better and better because more consumers now they are buying EVs. At the beginning, it's the operating car like taxi, like shared cars. But now more and more consumers they buy cars like Neo. Almost 100% users are from private users. That's a good signal. So that's good.
So this is something we're really excited about. I know Robert is also excited about seeing this. This is the Baojun E300. And this is actually a joint venture between 3 companies. So one is Wuling, who makes small light trucks. One is SAIC, who make the MG. And the other is GM. They've come together to build this. This is a micro electric car. It comes with a 40 kilowatt hour battery. It comes with about 300 kilometers of NEDC range and is available for 70,000 RMB, or more or less 9,000 to 10,000 pounds. Now, this is a really unique design and I absolutely love it and I cannot wait to drive this. As you can see, the windscreen starts here and the bonnet starts here. That's your bonnet. There's no bonnet. That's very different. It's completely unique, this design. Now, it's got these quite cute headlights. The name is down here. I think you've got your charging port, got your LED lights in the wing mirrors. You've got your bar down here. Now, this actually does have 4 seats. The front seats are obviously larger. As you can see, it's quite a high floor inside. Now, if you sit inside, my legs are going to be up by my ears. So let's have a look. There you go. So probably not comfortable for a long journey, but perfect for a city run around. Now, this is the pink color edition. So the pink color carries on the inside all across here. Got some nice materials, quite a deep dashboard, and one simple screen for the driver. There's no screen anywhere else. There's basic tactile button controls. Love it. Good job. And then you've got a little bit of space in the back. So let's see if I can get in the back seat of the Baojun. Maybe I've got to climb over that. So I do fit in the back. Once we worked out how the seat worked, I can sit in the back. I've actually got quite a lot of headroom in here, and I've got an armrest here. I mean, it's going to be tight for a long journey, but I do actually fit, and it's not bad. I've got quite a lot of light. It's quite comfortable. This is great, and I'm loving the pink seat belts. We've got to come around the back here. Again, quite a unique design. This is quite low, but quite large screen so you can see out the back. And then I think you could open your boot maybe in here. But there's 0 boot space. So, but I think if you lower these down, then you've got a little bit of space to put your luggage. This is the perfect city car. This is exactly what we want to see more of. Original design, small cars, long range. This is awesome. Well done. Now, I'm at another stand called Aiways. Now, I've never heard of this brand before. Most other people have probably not heard of it. That's because it's pretty much brand new. These aren't on the market yet. But this is pretty much a production-ready model. Now, there is one difference though. This has been tricked out with bumpers, big wheels, lots of unnecessary plastic bits. And this comes in basically 3 flavors, between a 53 kilowatt hour battery up to a 80 kilowatt hour battery. Providing anywhere between 400 and 600 kilometers NEDC range. As you can see, it's got the large alloys. It's got this shark fin down here, which is doesn't go anywhere. It's just for looks. But I think the most interesting thing is probably on the inside, where it looks actually quite muted and understated, which is quite unusual. It's got no passenger seat. Instead, it's got a footrest for the person in the back seat to put their feet up. And then if you come around to the back, now I don't know if this is just for the show, but There's a full-on, I don't know, KOL computer, lighting and microphone setup if you ever want to record yourself at home. But, you know, lovely interior, it's all leather. This is pretty much production ready. You can see they've really thought about comfort because you can adjust the back seats. So this is probably for long distance travel. You can, you know, sit down, make yourself really comfortable. And then if you come around the back, it's got these lovely LED lights. This is all automatic as well. Quite a large boot space. But overall, I don't know what I think about this car. Interesting brand, but they haven't sold anything yet. So let's see what the future is going to bring for these guys. I love a good concept car, and Aiways have really brought out a fantastic one here. So this is, as you can see, it's a beast. But, you know, you can see the design direction, you know, the things that they think are important here about the cars in China, and, you know, space inside and having that luxury inside and individual customization with the seats around there. That's what this is all about. These wheels are gigantic, but they've got a really nice flat profile, and they really help the car stand out. And I can see now here on the front we've got all of this LEDs, all LEDs. There's a camera in there in the eye, as you can see. All big strip of LEDs down the front now. This is quite a big trend in China now. The P7, obviously one of the first to do this, and fully controlled from the inside. Quite like that they've got the name of the car on the bumper as well, the U7 Ion. This is the Changan E-Star. So I've actually driven the predecessor of this model, which is quite basic. It didn't cost a lot of money, I think less than about £8,000. But this is their new model, and it's actually quite a sharp-looking mini car. I think most manufacturers have realised now that they don't have to have a big gaping mouth down here, but it's okay to start designing something different on the front end. So I quite like this design. It's interesting. Probably overly complicated LED headlights, but that's fine. I think they look quite smart. And what you notice is how small this engine area, where the typical engine in a petrol car would be, this is actually very, very small. And I think manufacturers have realised with a battery down here or at the back, they don't need such a big space. Now this is obviously quite basic, this is all like plastics. You go inside, I've got my small dial down here for the drive modes. Quite luxury, quite large screen up here, which is a nice benefit, then nice green outline. So this has a 301 kilometre NEDC range with a 50 kilowatt hour battery. And so for that you get a reasonable city microcar, basically. Not bad. What Wuling have been working on is a mini EV, similar in vein to the Baojun, but a little bit less wacky style. Now, this car here is exceptionally cheap. This car starts at about 32,000 RMB, so about £4,000, and you get between 120 or 170 kilometres of range. Now, I think this looks super practical for the city. It's not going to have many frills in it because it's a very cheap EV. But if I'm, you know, taking my kids to the school or just driving to pick up the shopping, why do I need anything more than this? You know, I'm not going to be able to go to IKEA in it, but as you can see, it can comfortably fit 2 adults in it, and maybe 2 adults in the back for a short time. Now, I think if you see on the inside, it's quite basic, it's all plastic, but that's completely fine. They've even got an old school radio with a USB stick. You know, this is not about frills, this is about cheapness, this is about getting lots of people into this sort of car. It's a tiny little boot. I mean, I could fit maybe a few drinks in there, and I just bang my head. I love this car, this is awesome. This is exactly what they should be doing more of. However, if this doesn't really fit your taste and you want something a little bit more aggressive, come with me and we'll check out something else Wuling have put together for the show today. So this is the other one from Wuling I was just speaking about. It has a little bit of a secret at the back. It's got 6 wheels. Of course, a little mini EV has to have 6 wheels. It's also got this patterned bodywork, more aggressive arches, still the very basic interior. I don't think this is for sale, which is a shame because it'd be fun to have this to drive off-road and show off that you've got a 6-wheel car for a few £1,000s. And here we are at the Aura stand. Now, I've been looking forward to this. Behind me, we've got the R1, which we previously tested on fully charged. And this is their new one. This is called the White Cat. Interesting name, but I think this looks fantastic. It's another small city car. This time it's got 4 doors. Now, this feels very much like the R1, to be honest. This is all plastic. That's no problem. Very plastic, plastic, plastic. Everything's plastic. 2 screens here. And this car comes with a 38 kilowatt hour battery, and it does around 350 kilometers of range. I mean, that's all we know at the moment. I think the price would be similar to the R1, so about $8,000. But this one follows the same formula as the R1, but adds to the cuteness factor. So this is a GAC-NE. So Guangzhou is a main automaker in the south of China. And this is their NE, the new energy range. So this is all of their cars that are fully electric, no hybrids here. Now, for a while they've had out a sedan, which is just over there, which we'll see in a minute. But this is their new soft-roader, and it's the AION V. Now, it's a very smart car. It comes with a 600 kilometer range and an 80 kilowatt hour battery. It comes in this very, very vibrant greeny, yellowy color here, which not to my taste, but it could be quite popular here in China. This is quite a cheap car. Price hasn't been released yet, but I think it's going to be released later today. You're spoilt by this very big screen in there, and a very comfortable space to be. Love the LED lights which blend into the door handles there, which come all the way around the back, and you've got quite a sizable boot in here. It's quite similar to my Xpeng, I think, in terms of size. So nice grille down here in plastic. It's a nice looking car, and it's going to be very popular in the south of China. So let's go look at some other cars. So behind me we have a really exciting concept. It is just a concept, but this is the Chery Arrizo Star. I don't have any information on it. All I know is it's completely electric. It looks like a race car for the road. I don't know how you get in the back because there's no shut line, but let's not worry about that. It's a concept. Don't worry about the details. But I think this thing looks fantastic. If you want to get, young people interested in electric cars, it's models like this which will get them, involved, excited. I know when I was younger, this sort of car really excited me. And there does seem to be a lack of it in the EV market at the moment. But it's great to see Chery really pushing the boat out and saying, right, this is what an electric car could be. So that's all we've got time for today. I'm completely exhausted. I've walked about 15,000 steps around this massive venue, looking at all sorts of new EVs and lots of very exciting things happening in the world of electric cars in China. And I think you've seen today that there has been a lot of excitement around the new EVs. Now, when we've been to some of the press conferences today, the biggest ones and the most well-attended ones have actually been the EV press conferences, which says a lot. I think my favorite EV today has to be the Baojun. That's completely wacky little car, which I cannot wait to drive maybe in a couple of months. So that's all we've got time for from me, and it's back to Robert in the studio.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. I found it absolutely fascinating. It's a real privilege to be in a position where we can ask Elliot to go to things like the Chengdu Motor Show and show us these amazing little cars. I mean, some of them are a bit weird, but some of them are amazing. Much, much cheaper than anyone would have predicted even a couple of years ago. Really extraordinary. I mean, I think it's fairly obvious that with the glaring exception of Tesla, these Chinese companies are way ahead of anything we're doing in Europe or in the United States of America in terms of adopting renewables, adopting energy storage, adopting electric vehicles, developing and manufacturing all the equipment that is needed to make these amazing machines. So, it's really worth keeping an eye on. Please do the normal things. I'm just going to do them really quickly. Please subscribe to Fully Charged. Please have a listen to the Fully Charged Show podcast, even though it's not on at the moment because it's off for August. Keep forgetting that. But even so, you can still subscribe to it. It's coming back in September, bigly. Have a look at the YouTube membership. But regardless of all that, please watch more episodes of Fully Charged because there's lots more to come. And as always, if you have been, thank you for watching.